personally, what I would like to see happen that I think would have a drastic change in police and interactions is police officers should not have guns. Take away guns from police officers. We live in a city that's one of the safest cities. There was like under 400 homicides last year in a city of 8.5 million people that live here. You know, not to mention the people that travel here from the surrounding areas. You got 20 plus million people in this city, you know, every given day. And so we talk about the low number of homicides and violent crimes. We have the strictest gun laws in the city, which I think are racist actually, because you look at the highest demographic of black people and people of color, and we have even stricter gun laws than we do outside. So if I live in Nassau County, I can have a shotgun and a rifle, but I can't do that in any of the 5 boroughs.
2 minutes away.
100%. I mean, like, and we know the history of gun laws, you know, Reagan and the Black Panther Party and all that shit. So like, but we live in that place that has the strictest gun laws. We have in the state with the strictest gun laws, we have stricter gun laws, right? And so why do we have, you know, the 35, 36, 37,000 NYPD, the sheriffs, the Port Authority, the Transit Authority, the court officers. You know, I like court officers. But that's the only nice thing I got to say about law enforcement. Correction officers are a whole nother fucking story.
Yeah.
They got bad attitude problems. I don't know. They always dealing with people. They're the overseers, so they got that overseer mentality constantly, and they can't really turn that off. No disrespect. Fuck it.
Come on the show.
No, keep that in. No, but yeah. So like, police should not have guns. It's just like this idea of the idea of fear, the idea of like that is such a dominating control. Like there are statistics. Like when I was in law school, I was looking at from like a 10-year period from 2004 to 2014. There were like 1,100 deaths of officers in the line of duty, right? Maybe about, and I don't know the exact statistics, but I know I'm in the range with these numbers. I don't know how to look it up. Half of them were, more than half, the largest, sector of them were vehicle crashes, right? Wow. The next one under that, it was like 400 or so were guns. Knives were like 19. Right, so but the clear leader, by 600 or whatever it was vehicle accidents, right?
And this is New York City or not?
This is the whole. So there were 1,100 and some odd numbers in the whole 50 states, right?
Wow.
Where we don't have.
No,
that's not that bad. And then when compared to how many people law enforcement killed,
most of it is drunk driving cops.
Well, we know cops like to drink, and they like to drive, and they're above the law. So,
I'm just joking, guys.
I'm not. But but like when you break down the statistics and you look at the numbers, like a police officer, there are a lot more. It's a very safe job. There are a lot more dangerous. The cab drivers are more subject to acts of gun violence than a police officer is. So like this idea that police officers should have a gun that holds 17 and fires really fastly, and they're trained to shoot to kill because their safety is more important than the citizens around them or the person that they're policing safety. This goes to their training, the mentality. Cops should not have guns. If you want to have a very limited, specially trained unit, and I'm not talking about street crimes unit, but like SWAT that has guns. Like let's look at like other places in the world and how they do policing. And I'm gonna bring up fucking England and the UK. Most cops do not have guns. Nope. Can they get access to a gun if needed? Absolutely. They call a certain person up. It's in their car. There's a procedure to do it. But then you look at how many cops kill people in UK versus here, and how many cops were killed there versus here, and like there are actual numbers that can support these things. But we're not dealing in a world with facts and numbers. We're dealing with emotions. We're dealing with interest groups, interest groups. That's the right, like the perpetuation of fear that the media just shoves down our throats is disgusting. Like, we live in a society of fear. This is the richest, safest fucking country in the world. Maybe that's not true. But this is one of the safest.
the richest.
Don't quote me on that. Take that one out. No, but this is one of the safest cities in the world, right?
Yeah,
and so, what are we doing? Right? Like, I think if you take away guns from cops, this is like the disarming. Like, this is how, as the community, can now come closer to you, because that thing on your hip that's just so easy to use, if your authority is tested, is no longer in play. Yeah. And I think, like, meet us halfway.
Put the knife away.
Meet us halfway. Like, literally show you as public servants have the responsibility and the job to earn my trust. You have to earn my trust. We have, like, we've been talking for however long about why they don't have our trust and why they haven't earned it, and the consequences of that. And you de-arm police, that is a real step forward to the police coming to the community and having a world where they know the people and they can have interactions that aren't, or just domineering based off of the power play.
Germain, do you think that's a recommendation that the NYPD would ever take seriously?
It's not whether the NYPD would take seriously or not. It's whether the courts would take it seriously. The
Okay.
NYPD doesn't make the decision on the recommendations. The courts do.
So explain that, because I didn't even know.
So the recommendations, we have, let's say one of the recommendations from community members, and it has to be collectively. It could, let's say, today, this is a recommendation David is making, and I'm really taking that to consideration. Now, if I hear 15 or 20 more individuals say the same thing throughout the whole 5 boroughs, that's going to be one of my recommendations. Now, let's say I take that recommendation to the courts, and the courts say, this is interesting. How can we implement this?
Let's do a case study.
Let's do a case study. Let's see what they're doing in the UK, right? The courts could have the same sense. Okay, let's do a trial run. Let's start with one unit.
One precinct.
One precinct. Or let's start with community affairs officers. Take community affairs officers' gun away. Why do they have guns anyway? Right? So it can happen, but that's how the process would work. It would be up to the courts on how they would implement that.